Hello, everybody. Let's start the weekend off with a good, steaming hot cup of nepotism. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, the Milwaukee Bucks looking to make some moves so they can hang on to Giannis Antetokounmpo's brother. What is going on?
I just want to rewind a little bit and ask you a very personal question. How does nepotism taste? You said a steaming hot cup.
It's very bitter. Let me tell you that. It's bitter.
Bitter?
It's
Okay.
bitter.
I had to visualize it.
It's bitter, and it kind of gets. It's like when a pill is a little bit too big, and it turns cider, gets caught in your throat. That's what nepotism tastes like, just like that.
Okay. With that important context, right?
You can't quite dislodge it. My front office show co-host Keith Smith confirmed that the Bucks are interested in trading MarJon Beauchamp. Now, Beauchamp was a first-round pick for the Bucks 2 years ago. They burned a first-rounder on him, and now they're looking to move him, in part because they want to open a roster spot to sign locker room favorite, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the 32-year-old brother of Giannis. Now, important to note, though, Donnie, the one thing you'd be expected to do on an NBA contract is be able to play basketball. Giannis Antetokounmpo cannot play basketball this season. He's rehabbing from a torn Achilles. So they're going to sign him to a contract simply because they enjoy his company so much in the locker room. And the fact that his last name is Antetokounmpo. Donnie, have we gone too far here with nepotism in the NBA?
I mean, that last part doesn't really matter, does it? The last name thing, that's surely that's not the main reason.
I'm sure
I don't
not.
know. I'm not sure if this feels almost unprecedented. Like, when has a team got out of their way to sign a player that is literally going to be ineligible to play due to injury for the entirety of the season? As a free agent, I don't know that I've ever seen that personally. It's got to be extremely rare. So that should tell you a little bit about the circumstance here. And I do think that, it's kind of going a little far. Like you said, there's a few examples in the league. But in terms of this, it's more so about, trying to keep Giannis happy, trying to keep Giannis mentally engaged. Giannis is very, very family oriented. And he said in the past how much it means to him to have the Thanasis on the roster and just there for all of his games, basically. So that's part of it, too. I think that part of it also is kind of weird in terms of MarJon, because I've seen people on the internet for the last couple of years, basically, with him pretty much be very low on him. So I feel like that's been the case with the Bucks, or that is now the case with the Bucks as well. Maybe they feel like he just needs a change of scenery. Maybe he's going to be better elsewhere. But they clearly feel like he's expendable on their current roster. And so they're going out of their way to basically burn that spot to try to bring in the Thanasis to keep Giannis happy, which at the end of the day, you should be trying to do if you're an NBA roster with a star, particularly one as good as Giannis is on the roster too. So it's a little bit like back and forth. It's just kind of unfortunate for the first round pick a couple of years ago.
How do you feel if you're MarJon Beauchamp right now, and the Bucks are saying, we would rather have someone who literally cannot play basketball than you on our roster? That's not great. But Giannis is coming in. I get this is a guy, look, he's played a little bit, mostly garbage time minutes, but you look at the last 5 seasons, he's played for the Milwaukee Bucks. He did play 2 games, 1 season for the Knicks. He's made $9 million in his NBA career, all of it but $30,000 coming from the Milwaukee Bucks. He got $30,000 for the Knicks from the Knicks' first 2 appearances, $9 million over the last 5 years from the Milwaukee Bucks. And you have to imagine being Giannis's brother as part of this. And we did have the story just the other day. I talked about this, about Giannis once again bringing up maybe leaving Milwaukee. He said in the past that he wants to win a championship. And if he doesn't feel like everybody on the Bucks is willing to do that, then he would look for other places to go to. Now, most recently, what he said is that the Bucks might trade him if they don't win a championship. He flipped it. Like, the Bucks are going to get rid of me if we don't win this year, which was an interesting way to approach things. But Donnie, do you think that the Bucks suddenly or attempting to make a roster move simply to sign his brother, who, again, cannot play basketball this season, is this in some way a response to Giannis making those comments about well, the Bucks might want to trade me if we don't win it all this year.
Yeah, that's just such a funny thing to say because that is so gaslighting. Like there's no way they're gonna try to trade this guy regardless. But
No, of course
yeah,
not.
I mean, maybe we've seen this with Giannis and both of the brothers that have made it to the NBA, where teams are kind of trying to align themselves with him being eligible to maybe make a roster change. Maybe go to a different team is what I'm trying to say. Where the Lakers tried to sign Costas in 2020.
And they did, yeah.
They did for a couple of years there. And then, which is interesting on that topic, as soon as Giannis signed that extension, they let Costas play out the rest of the next year and then kind of moved on from there. And then with Thanasis here, I mean, like I said, I think that's just the cost of doing business. Bringing in Giannis, his brother, keeping him happy is their main objective this year, and they're trying their best to try to find and cover all of the bases and try to find ways to make sure that he feels comfortable and happy in Milwaukee for the long term. They clearly don't want him to leave, and I think that, like I said, it's just the cost of doing business. In terms of like the requesting a trade thing or getting traded thing, like I said a second ago, they're not going to try to trade him. He's got to know that, but maybe the Bucks do feel a little bit uneasy. Giannis is very competitive. He does strike me as the type of guy that is very loyal and wouldn't seek out another opportunity if he's presented with the opportunity to win. And they've gone out and they've given him most of what he's asked for, I believe. And I believe he was a huge proponent of them trying to get Damian Lillard last year as well. And so in that case, I think the Bucks have done largely everything that you can do, especially, rostering his brother for the last handful of years. So I think that this is more or less the same. And like I said a second ago, I don't think that they think very highly of Beauchamp as well. So it probably isn't much of an issue for them. It's just kind of weird, like I said, because I feel like it's largely unprecedented for a team to try to do this with somebody that's literally not going to be available to play. And he did play a little bit, over the last handful of seasons for the team, but he's obviously an end of the bench guy, somebody you plug in if you have extreme roster issues or something like that, and you're largely not going to play him otherwise. So they're not expecting him to play, though. That's the point. He's just there to be in the locker room, as Keith was saying. He's a locker room guy.
Well, I mean, there's some precedent with that. Udonis Haslem had a spot with the Heat for years, even past when he was a realistic NBA player. But he, at least in a pinch, physically could set foot on an NBA court.
Yeah.
Whereas Antetokounmpo, Thanasis, he cannot. Giannis, by the way, under contract for 3 more seasons at least, and then has a player option for a 4th season. So it's not like he's an expiring contract and he's holding the Bucks' feet to the fire here or anything, and he's saying you have to do this. Again, I don't know. Maybe Thanasis is just a party machine in the locker room, keeps everybody happy, and so that's what they're going for here. I don't know exactly what that situation looks like, but let me ask you this though: how is this different? Because I've seen the outrage over this, and there's been plenty of outrage over the Lakers and Bronny James. How is this different from what the Lakers are doing for LeBron with Bronny? Or is it different?
Yeah, so I think that just on the surface, it's very similar. You have a star level player that you're trying to keep happy, and they've got a family member that's right there available for you. And so you're going to try to get that family member and make that player happy, right? So I think on the surface it's very similar, but I do think that there was a couple other key things. First and foremost, the age. Bronny is barely turned 20. There is something that they could potentially see something with him. I think that he flashes, defensive potential. He's very, very, very far away overall, especially on the offensive side, but maybe they see something there. Whenever he was drafted, they said he would be a case study for their new development system that they're trying to implement for these guys. And Bronny's going to be at the forefront of that. They are going to try their hardest to turn him into something. So I think that that's more or less it in terms of age and where these guys are in their respective careers. One's barely starting, one's been around for the last 10 or so years. And so that's, I think, the big deal here. And like I said a moment ago, one could actually go out there, like you said, and then the other one literally is not going to be able to. In terms of the nepotism piece, I mean, yeah, we can't really dance around it. I mean, it is what it is. LeBron used whatever influence he could, just keeping it a buck, used whatever influence he could to try to strong arm Bronny into the league. Bronny was in a position where he came out of high school as somebody that was potentially going to be a lottery pick, but has the health issue and then basically misses all of that offseason, then gets thrust into the season, doesn't look good, and probably had his best game since high school, literally since high school, just yesterday for the Lakers in that crazy blowout loss to the Warriors. So he's going to be a long-term thing, but I think that if you bet on anything, even if you don't think he's an NBA player, he does have time to try to prove whether he is or isn't. And at this point with Thanasis, I mean, he is what he is or isn't. We already know that at this point.
Yeah. I mean, he's 32 years old, and once again, cannot play NBA basketball this season. Yet the Bucks are attempting to make a roster move. Maybe they'll even attach draft capital. We'll see exactly what the Beauchamp deal looks like. But maybe they have to attach a second-round pick in order to sign somebody, because he's Giannis's brother and is amazing in the locker room, apparently, who cannot play NBA basketball this season. But everybody, let us know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Has nepotism run wild in the NBA? Have things gone too far now, with the Bucks potentially trying to clear a former first-round pick so they can sign Giannis Antetokounmpo's brother to the roster, despite the fact that he cannot play basketball this season? And don't forget to go check out our latest video. Donnie took a look at the Lakers situation with Dalton Connect and whether or not that makes Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell expendable on the trade market. So check that out. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.